Day. I try to break out of my prison tonight. This is how it happens. As night falls on the third to last day of my life, I hear more shouting and pandemonium coming from the monitors outside my cell. Plague patrols have completely sealed off the Lake and Alta sectors. The steady rise and fall of gunfire coming from the screens tells me that the people living in those sectors must be facing off against the troops. Only one side has the advantage of guns. Guess who's winning? My thoughts wander back to June. I shake my head, amazed by how much I've allowed myself to open up to her. I wonder what she's doing right now and what she's thinking about. Maybe she's thinking about me. I wish she were here. Somehow I always feel better with her. It's as if she can completely sympathize with my thoughts and help me channel them away, and I can always take comfort in her lovely face. Her face might give me courage, too. I've had trouble building up courage without Tess or John or my mother. I've been thinking about all this all day. If I can find a way out of this cell and arm myself with a soldier's weapons and vest, I have a fighting chance to get out of Batala Hall. I've seen the outside of this building several times now. The sides are not as slick as the Central Hospital was. And if I managed to break out of a window, I could run along one of the ledges wrapping around the side of the building, even with my healing leg. The soldiers won't be able to follow me. They'd have to shoot me from the ground or the air, but I'm fast when I can find footholds, and I can tolerate the pain in my hands. I'll have to find some way to break John out, too. Eden probably isn't in Batala Hall anymore, but I remember quite clearly what June said to me on the first day of my capture. The prisoner in 6822. That must be John, and I'm going to find him. But first, I have to figure out how to get out of this cell. I look over at the soldiers lined up against the wall and near the door. There are 4. Each wears a standard uniform. Black boots, black shirt with a single row of silver buttons, dark gray trousers, bulletproof vest, and a single silver armband. Each has a close-range rifle and an additional gun in his belt's holsters. My mind races. In a room like this, with 4 steel walls that bullets could bounce off of, the rifles probably use something other than lead ammo. Rubber, perhaps, to stun me if needed. Even tranquilizers. But nothing that can kill me or kill them. Nothing, that is, unless it's shot from a very close range. I clear my throat. The soldiers turn to me. I wait a few more seconds. They make a gagging sound and hunch over. I shake my head as if to clear my thoughts, then lean back against the wall and close my eyes. The soldiers seem alert now. One of them points his rifle at me. They stay silent. I keep up my act for another few minutes, gagging twice more as the soldiers continue to watch me. Then, without warning, I pretend to dry heave, then burst into a fit of coughs. The soldiers look at each other. For the first time, I see an uncertain light come into their eyes. "What's wrong?" one of them snaps at me. It's the one with the cocked rifle. I don't answer him. I pretend to concentrate too hard on holding back another heave. Another soldier glances at him. "Maybe it's the plague." "That's nonsense. The medics have checked him already." The soldier shakes his head. "He was exposed to his brothers. That young one's patient 0, isn't he? Maybe the medics didn't pick it up back then." Patient 0. I knew it. I gag again, trying to turn away from the guards as I do it, so they think I don't want their attention. I heave and spit on the floor. The guards hesitate. Finally, the one with the cocked rifle nods at the soldier standing next to him. "Well, I don't want to stick around in here if it is some weird mutated plague. Call for a bio team. Let's have him brought to the medical ward cells." The other soldier nods, then raps on the door. I hear it unlock from the outside. A soldier from the hallway ushers him outside, then quickly relocks the door. The first soldier walks toward me. "The rest of you, keep your rifles on him," he says over his shoulder. He holds out a pair of handcuffs. I pretend not to notice his approach, so busy am I with my gagging and coughing. "Get up." He grabs one of my arms and pulls me roughly to my feet. I grunt in pain. He reaches up and unlocks one of my hands from its chain, then clips it into the handcuffs. I don't fight him. Then he unlocks the second hand. He gets ready to shove it into the handcuffs. Suddenly, I twist, and for a split second I'm free. Before he can react, I whirl, yank the gun out of his holster, and point it straight at him. The other 2 guards fix their rifles on me, but they don't fire. They can't do it without hitting the first soldier. "Tell your boys outside to open the door," I say to the soldier I'm holding hostage. He swallows hard. The other soldiers don't dare to blink. "Open the door!" he shouts. There's commotion in the hall, then a few clicks. The first soldier bares his teeth at me. "There are dozens of them out there," he snaps. "You'll never make it." I just wink at him. The instant the door opens a sliver, I grab the soldier's shirt and shove him against a wall. One of the others attempts to fire at me. I duck to the floor and roll. Shots are fired all around me. They sound like rubber pellets. I break out of my roll in time to trip a soldier flat on his back. Even this makes me grit my teeth in pain. Damn this sore leg. I dart right through the opening before they can close it. I take in the hallway scene in the blink of an eye. Soldiers litter the walkway. Ceiling tiles. Right-angled turn at the end of the hall. The walls say 4th floor. The soldier who opened the door started reacting. His hands go to his gun, as if in slow motion. I leap up, push off against one wall, and grip the top ledge of the door. My injured leg throws me off, completely. I nearly fall back to the ground. More shots ring out. I swing up toward the ceiling and grab the crisscrossing metal between the tiles. Room 6822, 6th floor. I swing back down, kicking one soldier in the head with my good leg. He goes down, and I roll with him. I feel 2 rubber bullets hit him in the shoulder. He cries out. I crouch down and dart through the hall, dodging soldiers and guns, slipping out of the hands that reach for me. I have to get to John. If I can get him out, we can help each other escape. If I can... Then, something heavy hits me across the face. My vision goes dark. I fight to concentrate, but I feel myself fall to the floor. I try to spring back to my feet, but someone knocks me down again, and a sharp pain makes my back twitch. A soldier must have hit me with the butt of a rifle. I feel hands pin my arms and legs down. My breath escapes me in a gasp. Everything happens so fast that I can barely register all of it. My head swims. I think I'm going to pass out. A familiar voice sounds out above me. It's Commander Jameson. "What the hell is this?" she continues to shout at her soldiers. My vision gradually comes back. I realize I'm still trying to fight my way out of the soldier's grasp. A hand grabs my chin. Suddenly, I'm looking directly into Commander Jameson's eyes. "A foolish attempt," she says. She glances at Thomas, who salutes her. "Thomas, take him back to his cell and put some qualified guards on his watch for once." She releases my chin and rubs her gloved hands together. "I want the current guards dismissed and thrown off my patrol." "Yes, ma'am." Thomas salutes again, then starts barking out orders. My free hand is clipped into the handcuffs that are still hanging off the other wrist. From the corner of my eye, I see another black-clad official standing next to Thomas. It's June. My heart leaps into my throat. She narrows her eyes at me. In her hand, I see the rifle she used to hit me. They drag me kicking and shouting back to my cell. June stands by as soldiers chain me to the wall again. Then, when they step back, she leans down near my face. "I would highly suggest you not try that again," she snaps. There's nothing but cold fury in her eyes. By the door, I see Commander Jameson smile. Thomas looks on with a serious face. Then, June leans over again and whispers in my ear. "Don't try it again," she says, "because you won't be able to do it alone. You'll need my help." Of all the things I could have imagined coming out of her mouth, this is certainly not one of them. I try to keep my expression from changing, but my heart stops beating for a second. Help? June wants to help me? This is the girl who just knocked me to a state of half-consciousness in the hallway. Is she trying to throw me into a trap? Or does she really mean it? June pulls away from me the instant she utters the last word. I pretend to be angry, as if she just whispered something insulting. Commander Jameson lifts her chin. "Well done, Agent I. Paris." June gives her a quick salute. "Follow Thomas down to the lobby, and I'll meet you there." June and the captain leave. I'm alone with Commander Jameson and a new rotation of soldiers standing near the cell's door. "Mr. Wing," she says to me after a while, "an impressive effort tonight. You are truly as agile as Agent I. Paris claimed. I hate seeing such talents wasted on worthless criminals, but life isn't very fair, is it?" She smiles at me. "Poor boy. You truly believed you could break out of a military stronghold, didn't you?" Commander Jameson walks over to me, bends down, and rests her elbow on one knee. "Let me tell you a short story," she says. Some years ago, we caught a young renegade who had a great deal in common with you. Bold and brash, stupidly defiant, just as inconvenient. He tried to escape before his execution date, too. Do you know what happened to him, Mr. Wing?" She reaches over, puts her hand on my forehead, and pushes me backward until my head presses against the wall. "That kid made it as far as the stairwell before we got him. When his execution date came, the court granted me permission to kill him personally instead of putting him in front of a firing squad." Her hand tightens on my forehead. "I think he would have preferred the firing squad." "Someday you'll die in a worse way than he did," I snap back. Commander Jameson lets out a laugh. "Ill-tempered until the end, aren't you?" She releases my head and tilts my chin up with a finger. "What fun you are, my beautiful boy." I narrow my eyes. Before she can stop me, I dart out of her grasp and sink my teeth deep into her hand. She shrieks. I bite down as hard as I can until I taste blood. Commander Jameson slams me into the wall. The hit knocks me loose. She clutches her hand, performing an agonizing dance while I blink, fighting to stay awake. A couple of soldiers try to help her, but she shoves them away. "I'm looking forward to your execution day," she snarls at me. Her hand oozes blood. "I'll be counting down the minutes." Then she storms away and slams the cell door shut behind her. I close my eyes and bury my head in my arms so that no one can see my face. Blood lingers on my tongue. I taste a metallic taste. I haven't had the nerve to think about my execution date. What does it feel like to stand in front of a firing squad with no way out? My thoughts wander around and then zoom in on what June whispered to me. "You won't be able to do it alone. You'll need my help." She must have discovered something. Who really killed her brother? Or some other truth about the Republic. She has no reason to trick me now. I have nothing to lose, and she has nothing to gain. I wait for the realization to sink in. A Republic agent is going to help me escape. She'll help me save my brothers. I must be losing my mind. June. I learned at Drake that the best way to travel unseen at night is by rooftop. I'm practically invisible at that height. The people on the ground keep their attention fixed on the street, and besides, up there I get the best view of where I'm headed. Tonight, I'm on my way back to the border of Lake and Alta, where I'd gotten into the skiz fight with Cade. I need to find her now, before I have to return to Batal Hall in the morning and go over the details of Day's botched escape with Commander Jameson. Cade is going to be my best ally for Day's upcoming execution. Shortly after midnight, I get dressed in all black. Black hiking boots, a thin black aviator jacket, knives at my belt, a small black backpack strapped to my shoulders. I don't bring my guns. I don't want anyone to track me to the plague sectors. On my way to the top of my high-rise, I'm standing alone on the roof with the wind whistling all around me. I can smell the moisture in the air. A few terraces still have animals grazing at this hour. The sight of them makes me wonder whether I've been living over an underground meat factory all this time. From here, I can see all of downtown Los Angeles, as well as many of its surrounding sectors, and the thin rim of land that separates the enormous lake from the Pacific Ocean. It's easy to pick out where the wealthy sectors border the poorest ones, where the steady light from electricity gives way to flickering lanterns, bonfires, and steam power plants. I use an air rope launcher to connect a thin cable between two buildings. Then I glide silently from high-rise to high-rise until I'm well out of the Batala and Ruby sectors. Here, the going gets a little trickier. The buildings aren't as tall, and the roofs are crumbling, some threatening to collapse entirely if too much force hits them. I choose targets carefully. A few times, I'm forced to aim the launcher lower than the roof, and then shimmy my way to the top once I get to that side. By the time I reach the outskirts of Lake Sector, I can feel sweat dripping down my neck and back. The lake's edge sits just a few blocks away. When I take a good look across the sector, I see that red tape lines almost every block, and plague patrol soldiers with gas masks and black capes stand at every corner. X's mark rows and rows of doors. I see one patrol going from door to door, pretending to do another routine sweep. I have a hunch that they are doling out cures right now, just as Matthias said, and in a few more weeks, this plague will have magically trickled away. I make a point not to look anywhere close to where Day's house is, or perhaps was, as if his mother's body might still be lying there on the street. It takes me another 10 minutes to reach the place outside of Lake where I met Day. Here, the rooftops are too fragile for my air rope launcher. I carefully inch my way down to the ground. I'm agile, but I'm not Day, and follow shadowed alleys to the lakefront. Wet sand crunches under my feet. I make my way through the back alleys, careful to avoid the streetlights, the street police, and the endless street crowd. Day once told me that he met Cade in a bar here at the edge of Alta and Winter. Now, I scan the area as I go. From the rooftops, I could already tell that there were about a dozen bars that matched the location in his description. Here on the ground, I count out 9 of them. Several times I stop in an alley to gather my thoughts. If I'm caught here and anyone discovers what I'm doing, they'll probably kill me. No questions asked. The thought makes my heart quicken. But then I remember my brother's words. It's enough to make my eyes sting, to make me clench my teeth. I've gone too far to turn back now. I wander through several bars without luck. They all look so similar. Dim lantern light, smoke and chaos, the occasional skiz fight happening in a dark corner. I check each fight, although I've learned my lesson about standing far enough away from the circles. I ask each bartender if he knows a girl with a vine tattoo. No Cade. About an hour passes. Then I find her. Actually, she finds me. I don't even get a chance to step inside the bar. I've barely walked out of an adjacent alley, and I'm heading toward this bar's side door when I feel something fly right past my shoulder. A dagger. Instantly, I leap out of the way. My eyes dart up. Someone leaps down from the second floor, lunges for me, and knocks both of us into the shadows. My back slams into the wall. I reach instinctively for the knife at my belt before I see who my attacker is. "It's you," I say. The girl facing me looks furious. Streetlight reflects off of her vine tattoo, and heavy black makeup outlines her eyes. "All right," Cade says. "I know you're looking for me. You want to see me so badly that you've been wandering through Alta's bars for over an hour. What do you want? A rematch or something?" I'm about to respond when I see another movement in the shadows behind Cade. I freeze. Someone else is here with us. When Cade sees my eyes dart away, she raises her voice. "Stay back, Tess," she says. "You don't want to see this." Tess? I squint into the darkness. The figure standing there looks small enough, with a delicate frame and hair that seems to be tied back in a messy braid. Large, luminous eyes peer at me from behind Cade. I find myself itching to break into a smile. I know this is news that will make Day very happy. Tess steps forward. She looks healthy enough, although dark circles have appeared under her eyes. The suspicious look on her face sends a wave of shame through me. "Hello," she says. "How is Day? Is he okay?" I nod. "For the moment. I'm glad to see you're okay, too. What are you doing here?" She gives me a cautious smile, then glances nervously at Cade. Cade shoots her an angry look and presses me harder against the wall. "How about you answer that question first?" she snaps. Tess must have joined the Patriots. I drop my own knife to the ground. Then I hold my empty hands out to both of them. "I'm here to negotiate with you." I meet her stare with calm eyes. "Cade, I need your help. I need to talk to the Patriots." This catches her off guard. "What makes you think I'm a patriot?" "I work for the Republic. We know a lot of things. Some that might surprise you." Cade narrows her eyes at me. "You don't need my help. You're lying," she says. "You're a Republic soldier, and you turned in Day. Why should I trust you?" I reach around, unzip my backpack, and pull out a thick wad of notes. Tess lets out a tiny gasp. "I want to give you this," I reply, handing the money to Cade. "And there's more where that came from. But I need you to listen to me, and I don't have much time." Cade flips through the bills with the hand of her good arm and tests one of her on the tip of her tongue. Her other arm is wrapped in a tight cast. Suddenly, I wonder if Tess was the one to bandage up that arm. The Patriots must find her useful. "I'm sorry about that, by the way," I say, gesturing at her arm. "I'm sure you understand why I did it. I still have the wound you gave me." Cade lets out a dry laugh. "Whatever," she says. At least we got ourselves another medic in the Patriots now. She pats her cast and winks at Tess. Glad to hear it, I say, looking sideways at Tess. Take good care of her. She's worth it. Cade studies my face a little longer. Then she finally releases me and nods at my belt. Drop your weapons. I don't argue. I pull 4 knives from my belt, hold them out slowly so she can see, then toss them to the alley floor. Cade kicks them out of my range. You have any tracking gear? She says. Any listening devices? I let Cade check both my ears and my mouth. Nothing, I reply. If I hear so much as one pair of footsteps heading our way, Cade says, I'll kill you right here. Understand? I nod. Cade hesitates, then lowers her arm and guides us deeper into the shadows of the alley. No way I'm taking you to see any other Patriots, she says. I don't trust you enough for that. You can talk to us too, and I'll see if it's worth passing along. I wonder how large an operation the Patriots are. Fair enough. I start telling Cade and Tess about everything I've discovered. I begin with Matthias and then his death. I tell her about my hunt for Day and what had happened when I turned him in, what Thomas had done to Matthias. But I don't mention to her why my parents died or what Matthias had revealed about the plagues in his blog entries. I'm too ashamed to say it straight to the face of 2 people living in the poor sectors. So, your brother's friend murdered him, huh? Cade lets out a low whistle. Figuring out that the Republic killed your parents? And Day's been framed? Cade's nonchalant tone annoys me, but I brush it aside. Yes. Yeah, it's a sad story. Tell me, what the hell this has to do with the Patriots? I want to help Day escape before his execution, and I've heard that the Patriots have wanted to recruit him for a long time. You probably don't want to see him dead either. Maybe the Patriots can come to some sort of an arrangement. The anger in Cade's eyes has turned to skepticism. So, you want revenge for your brother's death or something? Gonna turn your back on the Republic for Day's sake? I want justice, and I want to free the boy who didn't kill my brother. Cade grunts in disbelief. You're living a sweet life, you know, tucked in a cozy apartment in some rich sector. You know, if the Republic finds out you've been talking to me, they'll put you in front of a firing squad, same as Day. The mention of Day standing before a firing squad sends chills down my spine. From the corner of my eye, I see Tess wince as well. I know, I reply. Are you going to help me? You're fond of Day, aren't you? Cade says. I hope the darkness hides the rising color in my cheeks. That's irrelevant. She lets out a laugh. What a joke. Poor little rich girl's fallen in love with the Republic's most famous criminal. And it's even worse since you're the reason he's there in the first place, right? Stay calm. Are you going to help me? I ask again. Cade shrugs. We've always wanted Day. He'd make a perfect runner for us, you know? But we're not in the business of doing good deeds. We're professionals. We have a long agenda, and it doesn't involve charity projects. Cade opens her mouth to protest. Tess opens her mouth to protest, but Cade motions her for her to stay quiet. Day may be a popular figure out here on the streets, but he's still one guy. What's in it for us? Just the joy of getting him on board? The Patriots aren't going to risk a dozen lives just to free a single criminal. It's inefficient. Tess lets out a sigh. I exchange a look with her. I can tell that this is something she's been trying in vain to convince Cade to do ever since Day was arrested. This might even be the reason why Tess joined the Patriots in the first place, to beg them to save Day. I know. I take off my backpack and toss it to Cade. She doesn't open it. That's why I brought you this. There are 200,000 notes in there, minus what I handed you earlier. Decent fortune. It's my reward money for capturing Day, and it should be enough payment for your assistance. My voice lowers. I've also included an electro bomb, level 3, worth 6,000 notes. It'll disable guns for 2 minutes in a half-mile radius. I'm sure you know how difficult it can be to get one on the black market. Cade unzips the backpack and sorts through the contents. She doesn't say anything, but I can see the pleasure in her body language, the way she hunches hungrily over the bills and runs her good hand over their crisp surfaces. She lets out a grunt of delight when she reaches the electro bomb, and her eyes widen when she holds up the metallic sphere to inspect it. Tess watches her with hopeful eyes. "This is pocket change for the Patriots," she says after she finishes. "But you're right. It might be enough to convince my boss to let me help you out. But how can we be sure this isn't a trap? You sold Day to the Republic. What if you're lying to me, too?" Pocket change. The Patriots must have deep pockets. But I just nod. "You have a right to be suspicious of me," I say. "But think of it this way. You can walk away right now with 200,000 notes and a rather handy weapon and never lift a finger to help me. I'm putting my trust in you and in the Patriots. I'm begging you to put your trust in me." Cade takes a deep breath. I can tell she's not convinced. "Well, what did you have in mind?" My heart skips a beat. I smile genuinely at her. "First things first. Day's brother John. I plan to help him escape tomorrow night. No earlier than 11 p.m., no later than 11:30. Kate gives me an incredulous look, but I ignore her. "A fake death. A claim that John's infected with the plague. If I can help him escape from Batala Hall tomorrow night, I'll need you and a couple of Patriots to get him out of the sector. Keep him safe." "We'll be there if you can make it." "Good. Now, Day is obviously going to be trickier. His execution happens 2 evenings from now at exactly 6 p.m. 10 minutes before that, I'll be the first person leading him to the firing squad yard. I'll have a secure access ID. I should be able to get Day out through one of the East Hall's 6 back exits. Have some Patriots wait for us there. I expect a crowd of at least 2,000 to show up for the execution, which means a crew of at least 80 security guards. The back exits need to be as sparsely guarded as possible. Do something, anything, to make sure most of the soldiers have to go help there. If the first block past Batala Hall doesn't have a lot of security, you'll have enough of a head start to escape." Cade raises an eyebrow. "You're suicidal. You know how impossible this sounds?" "Yes," I pause, "but I don't really have much choice." "Well, go on. What about the square?" "Diversion." My eyes lock onto Cade's. "Create chaos in Batala Square, as much chaos as you can manage. Enough chaos to force most of the soldiers guarding the back exits to enter the square and help contain the crowd, if only for a couple of minutes. That's what the electro bomb might help you with. Set it off in the air, and I'll shake up the ground in Batala Hall and around it. Shouldn't hurt anyone, but it'll definitely stir up some panic. And if the guns in the vicinity are disabled, they can't shoot at Day even if they see him escaping along the rooftop. They'll have to chase him and try their luck with less accurate stun guns." "Okay, genius," Cade laughs, a little too sarcastically. "Let me ask you this, though. How the hell are you going to get Day out of the building at all? You think you're going to be the only soldier escorting him to the firing squad? Other soldiers will probably flank you. Hell, the whole patrol might join you." I smile at her. "There will be other soldiers, but who says they can't be Patriots in disguise?" She doesn't answer me, not in words, but I can see the grin spreading on her face, and I realize that, even though she thinks I'm crazy, she has also agreed to help. Day. 2 nights before my execution date, I have a slew of dreams while trying to sleep against my cell's walls. I can't remember the first few. They mix together into a confusing sludge of familiar and strange faces, something that sounds like Tess's laughter, something else that sounds like June's voice. They'll all be trying to talk to me, but I can't understand any of them. I remember the last dream I have before I wake up, though. A bright afternoon in Lake Sector. I'm 9. John is 13, just barely starting his growth spurt. Eden is only 4 and sits on our front door steps, looking on as John and I play a game of street hockey. Even at this age, Eden is the most intelligent of us, and instead of joining in, he chooses to sit there tinkering with parts of an old turbine engine. John hits a crumpled ball of paper toward me. I barely catch it with the butt of my broom. "You hit it too far," I protest. John just grins. "You'll need better reflexes than that if you want to pass your trial's physical tier." I hit the paper ball back as hard as I can. It whizzes past John and hits the wall behind him. "You managed to pass your trial," I say, "despite your reflexes." I missed that ball on purpose. John laughs as he turns and jogs over to the ball. He catches it before the breeze can blow it away. Several passers-by almost step on it. Didn't want to completely crush your ego. It's been a good day. John had recently been assigned to work at our local steam plant. To celebrate, Mom sold one of her 2 dresses and an assortment of old pots and spent all last week taking over shifts from her coworkers. The extra money was enough to buy a whole chicken. She's inside preparing it, and the smell of meat and broth is so good that we keep the door propped open a little so we can catch a whiff of it out here too. John isn't usually in such a great mood. I plan to take advantage of it as much as I can. John hits the ball to me. I catch it with my broom and knock it back. We play fast and furious for several minutes, neither of us missing, sometimes making such ridiculous jumps to get the ball that even Eden falls over laughing. The smell of chicken fills the air. It's not even a hot day today. It's perfect, in fact. I pause for a second as John runs to fetch the ball again. I try to take a mental snapshot of this day. We hit the ball some more. Then I make a mistake. A street policeman wanders through our alley as I'm getting ready to hit the ball back to John. From the corner of my eye, I see Eden stand up on the steps. Even John sees him coming before I do, and he holds out one hand to stop me. But it's too late. I'm already in mid-swing, and I hit the ball straight into the policeman's face. It bounces off, of course, harmless paper, but it's enough to make the policeman stop in his tracks. His eyes dart to me. I freeze. Before any of us can move, the policeman pulls a knife from his boot and marches over to me. "Think you can get away with something like that, boy?" he shouts. He lifts the knife and gets ready to hit me across the face with its handle. Instead of cringing, I give him a nasty stare and hold my ground. John reaches the policeman before he can reach me. Sir! John darts in front of me and holds his hands out to the policeman. "I'm sorry for that," he says. "This is Daniel, my little brother. He didn't mean it." The policeman shoves John out of his way. The knife handle whips me across the face. I collapse on the ground. Eden screams and runs inside. I cough, trying to spit out the dirt that fills my mouth. I can't speak. The policeman walks over and kicks me to the side. My eyes bulge out. I curl up in a fetal position. "Stop, please!" John rushes back to the policeman and stands firmly between the two of us. I catch a glimpse of our porch from where I lie on the ground. My mother has rushed out to the entrance, where Eden is hidden behind her. She calls out desperately to the policeman. John continues pleading with him. I can pay you. I don't have much, but you can take whatever you want. Please." John's hand comes down and grabs my arm. He helps me to my feet. The policeman pauses to consider John's offer. Then he looks up at my mother. "You there," he calls out. "Fetch me what you have, and see if you can raise a better brat." John pushes me farther behind himself. "He didn't mean it, sir," John repeats. "My mother will punish him for his behavior. He's young and doesn't know any better." My mother rushes out for a few seconds later with a cloth bundle. The policeman opens it and checks each note. I can tell that it's almost all of our money. John stays silent. After a while, the policeman rewraps the money and tucks it into his vest pocket. He looks at my mother again. "Are you cooking a chicken in there?" he says. "Kind of a luxury for a family of your type. You like wasting money often?" "No, sir." "Then fetch me that chicken, too," the policeman says. Mom hurries back inside. She comes out with a tightly tied bag of chicken meat lined with cloth rags. The policeman takes it, slings it over his shoulder, and casts me one more disgusted look. "Street brats," he mutters. Then he leaves us behind. The alley turns quiet again. John tries to say something comforting to Mom, but she just brushes it off and apologizes to John for our lost meat. She doesn't look at me. After a while, she hurries back inside to tend to Eden, who has started to cry. John whirls to face me when Mom is gone. He grabs my shoulder, then shakes me hard. "Don't ever do that again, do you hear me? Don't you dare!" "I didn't mean to hit him," I yell back. John makes an angry sound. "Not that. The way you looked at him. Don't you have any brains at all? You never look at an officer like that. Do you understand? You want to get us all killed?" My cheek still stings from the knife handle, and my stomach burns from the policeman's kick. I twist out of John's grasp. You didn't have to stand up for me, I snap. I could have taken it. I'll fight back. John grabs me again. You're completely cracked. Listen to me, and listen to me good, all right? You never fight back. Ever. You do what the officers tell you, and you don't argue with them. Some of the anger fades from his eyes. I would rather die than see you hurt. Understand? I struggle for something smart to say in return, but to my embarrassment, I feel tears well up in my eyes. Well, I'm sorry I lost your chicken, I blurt out. My words force a little smile out of John. Come here, boy, he sighs, then envelops me in a hug. Tears spill down my cheeks. I'm ashamed of them, and I try not to make a sound. I'm not a superstitious person, but when I wake up from this dream, this painfully clear memory of John, I have the most horrible feeling in my chest. I would rather die than see them hurt you. And I have a sudden fear that somehow, some way, what he said in the dream will come true. June, 0800 hours, Ruby Sector, 64 degrees Fahrenheit outside. Day will be executed tomorrow evening. Thomas shows up at my door. He invites me to an early movie showing before we have to report to Batala Hall. The glory of the flag, he tells me. I've heard good reviews. It's about a Republic girl who captures a colony spy. I say yes. If I'm going to help John escape tonight, I'd better make sure I keep Thomas feeling good about our relationship. No need to get him suspicious. The oncoming hurricane, 5th one this year, shows its first signs as soon as Thomas and I step out onto the streets. An ominous gale, a gust of ice-cold wind, startling in otherwise humid air. Birds are uneasy. Stray dogs take shelter instead of wandering. Few motorcycles and cars pass by on the streets. Trucks deliver extra jugs of drinking water and canned food to the high-rise residents. Sandbags, lamps, and portable radios are rationed out too. Even the trial stadiums have postponed the trials scheduled for the day the storm will arrive. I suppose you must be excited, what with everything that's going on, Thomas says as we file into the theater. Won't be long now. I nod and smile. People pack into every seat in the house today, in spite of the windy weather and impending blackouts. Before us looms the theater room's giant cube, a 4-sided projector screen with one side pointed toward each block of seats. It shows a steady stream of ads and news updates while we wait. I don't think excited is the best term for how I'm feeling, I reply, but I have to say I am looking forward to it. Do you know the details about how it'll go? Well, I know I'll be monitoring the soldiers in the square. Thomas keeps his attention on the rotating commercials. Our side currently shows a bright, gaudy, is your child's trial coming up? Send him to ACE Trials for a free tutoring consultation. Who knows what the crowd might do? They're probably already gathering. As for you, you'll probably be inside, leading Day to the yard. Commander Jameson will tell us when it's time. Very well. I let myself think over my plans, details of which have been running through my mind ever since I met Cade last night. I need time to deliver uniforms to her before the execution, time to help several of the Patriots sneak inside. Commander Jameson shouldn't need much convincing to let me escort Day out, and even Thomas sounds like he understands that I want to. June. Thomas's voice breaks me out of my thoughts. Yes? He gives me a curious look and frowns slightly, as if he's just remembering something. You weren't home last night. Stay calm. I smile a little, then glance casually back to the screen. Why do you ask? Well, I stopped by your apartment in the middle of the night. I knocked for a long time, but you didn't answer. It sounded like Ollie was there, so I knew you didn't go to the track. Where were you? I look back at Thomas with a steady face. I couldn't sleep. I went to the roof for a while and watched the streets. You didn't bring your earpiece with you. I tried calling you, but just got static. Really? I shake my head. The reception must have been bad because I had it on. It was pretty windy last night. He nods. You must be exhausted today. You better tell Commander Jameson if we don't want her to work you too hard. I give Thomas a frown this time. Turn the question back around. What were you doing at my door in the middle of the night? Was it anything urgent? I didn't miss something from Commander Jameson, did I? No, nothing like that. Thomas gives me a sheepish grin and runs a hand through his hair. How anyone with blood on his hands could still look so carefree is beyond me. To be honest, I couldn't sleep either. I kept thinking how anxious you must be. Thought I'd surprise you. I pat his arm. Thanks, but I'll be fine. We'll execute day tomorrow, and I'll feel much better afterward. Like you said, won't be long now. Thomas snaps his fingers. Oh, that was the other reason I wanted to see you last night. I wasn't supposed to tell you. It's supposed to be a surprise. Surprises don't sound like fun right now, but I fake some excitement. Oh? What's that? Commander Jameson suggested it, and she got the courts to approve it. I think she's still pretty mad about how hard Day bit her hand when he tried to escape. Got what approved? Oh, there's an announcement now. Thomas glances back to the movie screen and points at the commercial that comes on. We're moving up Day's execution time. The commercial is nothing but a digital flyer, a single still image. Looks festive, dark blue text and photos over a white and green patterned background. I see Day's photo in the middle of it. Standing room only in front of Batala Hall on Thursday, December 26th at 1700 hours. For the execution of Daniel Alton Wing. Limited space available. Jumbotron viewing only. All the air squeezes out of my chest. I look back at Thomas. Today? Thomas grins. Tonight? Isn't it great? You won't have to agonize through a whole other day. I keep my voice upbeat. Good. I'm glad to hear it. My thoughts churn into rising panic. This could mean so many things. Commander Jameson convincing the court to move his execution up a whole day is unusual in itself. Now, he'll face the firing squad in only 8 hours. Rise right as the sun starts to set. I can't get John out now. The entire day will be spent preparing for Day's execution. Even the hour has changed. The Patriots might not be able to meet me today. I'll have no time to get uniforms for them. I can't help Day escape. But that's not all. Commander Jameson chose not to tell me about this. If Thomas already knew last night, that means she told him yesterday evening at the latest before sending him home. Why wouldn't she tell me? She should think I'd be glad to hear that Day is to die 24 hours earlier than planned. Unless she suspects something. Perhaps she wanted to throw me off just to test my reaction. Does Thomas know something he's keeping from me? Is all this ignorance about the plan just a mask to hide the truth? Or is Commander Jameson keeping him in the dark as well? The movie starts. I'm grateful I don't have to talk to Thomas anymore and can think in silence. Change of plans. Otherwise, the boy who didn't kill my brother will die tonight.